This is the Galaxy S21 Ultra. It's Samsung's biggest, it's Samsung's best, but maybe it's Samsung's most boring phone. And let me tell you what I mean. Usually when you're reviewing a phone, you do a couple of things. So you go through the phone first of all, and you look at all the good things that you want to say about it. And then you kind of counterbalance that with all of the bad things that you want to say. And then that comes together and you probably say that this is not the complete phone yet. But I can't find anything bad to say about it. Let's talk about the things that are kind of obvious, first of all, on this Galaxy S21 Ultra. Because as soon as you look at it, you can see that it is a beast of a phone. It is huge. It's got a 6.8-inch display. And I think this is the most fun that you're going to have with 6.8 inches, because that display is honestly just dreamy. And I think that's probably just the best way to describe it. We know that Samsung are usually on top of the market when they come to doing displays for phones, and usually on their Note phones and on their Galaxy Ultra phones, they have the best displays on the market. And this year, it's exactly the same, but it seems to have just taken a step up. It's vibrant, it's punchy, and it's just the best. You also get that 120Hz display, and this time round on the Ultra phone, Samsung have let you use it as an Ultra phone, and you can have full resolution at 120Hz. And I didn't like the idea last year of the fact you would buy an Ultra phone, then you would have to pick, did you want full resolution or did you want 120Hz? But that problem is now gone, because 120Hz full resolution is what you get with the S21 Ultra. With that 120Hz display, you also get that adaptive refresh rate, so it can go from anywhere to, I think, 10Hz up to 120Hz, depending on what you're doing with your phone. So if you're just looking at a picture, you don't need 120Hz. So that helps the phone save on battery life, which is nice. Because that screen is so big at 6.8 inches, you might be thinking that actually it's quite difficult to hold in one hand and use in one hand, and it is easier to use with one hand than other bigger phones. You know, this phone is a bit slimmer, so it means holding it is a bit easier. And don't get me wrong, you can use this phone one-handed, but every time you use it one-handed, especially me, I feel like I'm gonna drop it when I'm trying to reach the top of that display. So it's not like a stroll in the park to use it one-handed, but it is doable. The Ultra's design is something that when I first saw it all those months ago, I thought, there is no way that I am going to like this phone. And over the past couple of weeks, it has really grown on me. So that massive, horribly looking but lovable camera bump on the back of the phone, I think now it looks really nice. It lets the phone stand out from other 3, 4, 5 camera kind of systems where it's just in a line. This is something a little bit different, and it's nice. Even the design down to that frosted glass back on the phone, that feels incredible, that feels nice in the hand, and I don't think I will ever complain about a phone having a frosted glass back, because that is something that it's one of my favorite things on a phone. Don't know why, it just feels good, it feels nice, and the Galaxy S21 Ultra has that as well. The one thing that I've really liked from coming from an iPhone and using this Galaxy Ultra as my main phone for the past couple of weeks is unlocking the phone using my fingerprint. We're all wearing masks, or we all should be wearing masks. So using a phone where its main function to unlock a phone is by using your face, which is covered with a mask, makes it difficult. But the Galaxy S21 Ultra does have that under the screen fingerprint reader. It's such a simple thing to include in a phone, and this works so well. It's fast, it's easy, and I would say 98% of the time you just tap your finger on it and it will unlock. You don't miss the space. It just works, and that's what you want when you're trying to unlock your phone, and I love it. I really like it. And that weirdly brings me on to one thing that I hate about Samsung phones, and that is the OS. So having to use OneUI on Samsung phone, it hurts me deep inside somewhere. So this time round I thought, right, okay, OneUI 3, let's just go all the way out. Let's just go fully OneUI, and I kind of like it. It hurts to say it, but I like OneUI. I'm not sure what massive changes that Samsung have put into OneUI, but where it is at the moment is kind of perfect. It's not too complicated. There isn't things that are missing. There isn't things that kind of take over the phone, and it's probably as close to stock Android, I think, at the moment that Samsung have ever got. So One UI really isn't too bad. If you buy this phone in the UK, you end up getting that Exynos 2100 chip, where in America they get that Snapdragon 888 chip. And last year, when they released the Note 20 Ultra, having Exynos and not having Snapdragon was like a completely different phone. It was pretty unfair. But this year, it seems like that Exynos chip has really caught up to the Snapdragon. It doesn't seem like you're missing out, and it gives you things like 5G. So if you're in a 5G area, you can get some pretty decent speeds using 5G, sometimes quicker than broadband. I've been averaging around about 50 to 90 megabytes, depending whether I'm inside or outside. So that is pretty nice. The Exynos also really works well with that 5,000 milliamp hour battery that Samsung have shoved into this phone, and I think that 5,000 milliamp hour battery is my favorite thing about the S21 Ultra. Like, wow, I have tried to kill this phone on a full day's usage so much, but by the time I get to the end of the day, it just isn't doing it. It's just clinging on every single time. So far, I've not killed this in a day. You seem to be able to get a day and a half, pushing 2 days charge out of this phone. And that is one of the most important things for me when you buy a new phone, is having that huge battery and not having to think about charging it every 25 minutes. Now, let's talk about the cameras on this S21 Ultra, and this gives you everything you would ever need from a camera and more. There are so many cameras on this phone that it's ridiculous. So you get that 40 megapixel selfie front-facing camera, you get a 108 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, you then get 2 zoom lenses at 3x and 10x zoom as well, and then you also get that laser autofocus. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anything else. That is everything you will ever need. I think this phone takes some of the best photos that I've ever taken on a phone, which might sound dramatic, but just have a look at some of these photos. Every photo that main camera takes is just like, it's just next level. And I've got to say, I'm not a huge camera guy, so I'm not going to go into all the specs of these cameras and look at the highlights and the lows and all of that of the photos. But what I do know is when a camera can take good photos, and this camera can take incredible photos. You can zoom in up to 100 times on this camera as well, and 100 times zoom it's probably a bit gimmicky still at the moment. It doesn't look great. You can zoom all the way in, but the photos that you take are pretty blurry, and it's pretty hard to make out what you are taking a photo of. But because of that 100 times zoom, it means that the zooms below that start to look even better. So if you look at something like that 30 times zoom, you can see that the camera focuses so well on the subject that you're trying to take a photo of. It is sharp, it is in focus, and it is really, really good using that laser autofocus for about up to 30 times zoom. And that laser autofocus is something that stands Samsung out from a whole market of worldly phones that come out with 100 cameras on them, and you can zoom in far, you can do this, you've got the macro lenses, but laser autofocus actually works. You can also do now some really pretty decent video on this phone, so you can do 4K video, which is nice, and it just seems to have taken a step up this year. This is also the test of what the microphone sounds like when you're recording video. I think that sounds alright. Doesn't sound too bad, does it? Even makes this horrible day look half decent. If you want to record 8K video, then you can record as much 8K video as that base 128GB storage will allow you in this phone. And then when we do some 8K video, you can see what it all looks like and sounds like on there as well. And just the fact that you can do 8K on a phone, I think that is actually pretty exciting in itself. Oh, I almost forgot as well. This wouldn't be a Samsung review without me telling you how much I hate Bixby. Honestly, I've set Bixby up, I tried to use it, it was rubbish. So Samsung, please just let Bixby die a dignified death. No one wants it. So that is the Galaxy S21 Ultra. It's one of these phones that gives you so much that you feel like that for the price, you're really not missing out. And in fact, it probably gives you more than you'll ever need from a phone. But that's why I said at the start of the video that this might be Samsung's most boring phone, because it does everything so well. There really isn't much to say bad about it. In fact, if you're looking for the best Android phone in the world right now, then this must be it, the Galaxy S21 Ultra.